Well, good morning. Hello, Facebook. Hello, my friends. I think I am live. I'm going to wait for Facebook to catch up. There we go. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. And if you're joining me live, hello and welcome. Make sure you say something in the comments, say hi so I can know that you're here and know that I'm not alone, that I'm alone here in Facebook land, that I can come back and say hi. And if you are watching on replay, definitely type replay so that I know you watched it, and then I can come back and say hi and answer any questions that you may have. So again, good morning. My name is Tiffany Huckelman. I am the founder and leader of the brand at Lone Orange, where we help solopreneurs scale their businesses beyond themselves so that they can enjoy a business with less stress, more time, and more profit. What a concept. Solopreneurs and profit. It is a possibility, I promise. So today, though, well, actually, before we get into that, we just finished the 5-day challenge that I ran last week. It was called Solo to Team, and it was for solopreneurs who were ready to build their virtual dream team. And it was so much fun. I had such a blast. It was intense and I was exhausted, but we had so much fun and we accomplished so much. And the feedback that I've been getting is that there was so much value that it really helped people get a better idea of what it took to grow a team and how to take those steps to grow the team, which is awesome. And because that was our whole focus. So I really appreciated how I broke everything down into very bite-sized pieces. Again, it was a lot, but I broke it down so that it was very understandable, and we just had such a blast. So I'm pretty excited about that. That was a lot of fun. And in other big news, today is the official start of the Scale Your Brand Mastermind. Yay! So I've got a new group starting today, which I'm super duper excited about. And we're going to go for the next 10 weeks to work on building the pillars that every business needs to scale their business, which we'll talk a little bit about today. And that group is going now, and I'm super excited about that. The next one will be starting in January. So if you're interested in what you're hearing about today and you're interested in finding out more about that mastermind, definitely DM me or schedule a call. Oh, I know, the other thing I was going to say is so the challenge was so much fun, and I would imagine that I'll be doing some more of that because it was so much fun. So if you have suggestions or ideas of topics that you would like me to cover, things that you're wondering about, things you'd really like some guidance on, feel free to put those in the comments or DM me, because I'm going to start thinking about what the next challenge or the next event might be. So I would love to hear from you if you've got some thoughts. All right, so so today I've really been thinking about this whole idea of growth versus scale and why I've named my signature program Scale Your Brand. Why? Why scale? Why not grow your brand? Why not grow your business? And here's the thing, growth and scale are often used or can seem to be used very interchangeably. And that's fine. They do mean very similar things, but there's a very key difference that I want to talk about today and talk about what that difference is. So here's the thing. Growth is about focusing on the top line, right? Thinking about your P&L, the very top line is going to be income and revenue. So growth is all about growing that number, which is a very important number to grow, especially as a business. That is definitely a key indicator. It's what we measure to measure how we're growing, to determine how we're growing. And so that's a really important number, but that's what growth does. So I also learned last week that I love my whiteboard, so I'm going to use that today because I want to illustrate what this means. So let's draw out a chart. So this is the money side, and this is the time side. A solopreneur, because that's what we're talking about, a solopreneur is growing versus scaling. A solopreneur can do a lot of fantastic things for their business to grow that top line, to grow that revenue line. They can work harder, they can work more, They can raise their prices, which could be a very important thing. They could offer more services, which also could be an important thing. They could market more, which could be an important thing. All of these things are good. And what that does is it gives you some good growth. That might be a little steep. That looks very big. let's not make that quite so steep because that's not realistic. But the problem is that we're human. And so at some point as a solopreneur, you find that you have capacity. You have a limit to what you can do. So if you're working harder, working more, marketing more, trying to sell more, trying to serve more, trying to add more options, trying to charge more, all of that's great. But as a solopreneur, you will at some point hit a limit. You're going to hit a plateau. And there will be a limit to what you can do as a solo to grow the business. So here's where the difference is between growth and scaling. Scaling is still focused on that top line. It still is looking for growth in this number, but it's focused on building in the infrastructure, building the processes and the pieces that every business needs to be able to grow and to be able to scale. So the difference becomes, so this is the scale line, it's going to be more progressive or more, maybe it's a little bit slower even, but it has the infrastructure to grow it, to scale it. Whereas this levels off because you can't do anymore. You just physically cannot do anymore. You get burned out, whatever. There's only so much you can do. And if you choose to stay that way, that is totally fine. I want to give you permission to do that if you want to stay a solo. Just know that there's going to be a limit to what you can do. But by scaling, you can build in the infrastructure to enable that longer, more sustainable growth. So I hope that makes sense. So here's some of the things that these pillars might be. They might be systems and processes. They might be metrics. They might be efficiencies and automations. They might be a team or other people that you bring in. They might be resources that you can leverage to build in the infrastructure so that your growth is much more sustainable than you doing it all on your own, so that the burden doesn't completely rest on your shoulders, because that's what we want it to do. And here's the thing, your operations still have to stay at a very high standard. One of the biggest concerns that I had before scaling, and one of the biggest concerns that I hear from people is, oh my gosh, but if I bring other people in, the quality is going to go down. What my clients have come to expect from me is going to go down. That doesn't have to be true if you have these pillars, have the systems, have the infrastructure built in as you're growing. If you're building that infrastructure at the same time, then that's where the scaling comes in. That's how it can be sustainable, even at your high level of quality and service, which is super important. It's really important, especially for a solopreneur, because this is your baby. This is what you got into business for. So you have put everything into this. I get it. Believe me, I totally get it. And when we don't serve a client, if something happens with a client and we haven't served to the level of service that I expect, my heart is broken. And so we work to fix it, because I take that very personally. But we have been able to build in these pillars and the infrastructure to be able to scale. So, and this is what I talk about with my clients. This is what we teach in the Scale Your Brand method. And the 4 pillars that we specifically focus on in that program is, the first one, let's use a different color because we can. The first one is your identity and your culture. That's the first pillar, and you've got to get super clear on that. Really, that's an important one that you need as a solo too. Getting that identity and that culture, figuring out who you are at your core, so that you can best communicate that, because the next is your communication and your messaging. How are you talking to people? What are you saying to people? How are you compelling them? How are you showing them that you are the one to help them solve their problem? The third pillar that we talk about is your client experience. How do you serve them? How do you make sure that at every stage of their experience with you, that they are experiencing this? That they're experiencing the identity and the messaging that you want them to experience. This is your brand. These first two pillars are your brand. So getting clear on that, and then pulling that into your client experience. And then the fourth pillar is your systems and processes. Oh, I can't write. Systems and processes and team. This is where, once you are clear on these first three pillars, this is where you can start building your team, because you have something to build them on. So these pillars is what gives you the scalability, as opposed to doing it all on your own, where you're going to hit that wall and you're going to plateau. You're going to hit a place where you can't grow anymore. But to build a scalable business, you work in these four things and your business will be able to continue to grow and be sustainable. So that's the difference between growth and scaling. In fact, let's write that. This is growth. All very good. Nothing wrong with it. But this is scale. And that's just much more sustainable. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that clears up some of the, because I've been hearing the word scaling a lot lately, and I just want to make sure that it's not a confusing term, and that we understand that there really is a difference. And so as you are growing your solopreneur business, I want you to be able to do it intentionally and decide how you want to grow it and what you want to do to grow it. Are you going to market more, sell more, work harder, offer more products or services, change your prices? All of those are good. But do you also want to, or instead of, focus your time on scaling and building in the infrastructure that you need? It's your choice. But if you are interested in helping to scale, I'm here to help you. And if you're thinking that if you're curious about this whole idea, I will put a link in the comments below where you can schedule a call with me, and we'll just get on we'll just get on Zoom and chat a little bit about it and see where you're at with your business and where you want to take it and the best way to do that. All right, friends, that's all I've got for you today. I will look forward to seeing you next week, Thursday, 9 o'clock, every morning, or every Thursday, and I will look forward to seeing you then. Until then, have a stellar week. Bye.